Yeah, I love tech stuff. Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to our first live stream.
Yeah.
I'm recording, so I'm going to do a little bit of an intro for those watching the recording, and of course people who step into the chat and to watch. I'm Dee, and this is Damon, and we run Hate and Holler, which is a podcast about ghost stories, superstitions.
Hello, confidant.
The confidant.
The confidant.
All things spooky in the South, and we wanted to do a live stream today to talk about one of those spooky occurrences, and share that high strangeness with you all. So I think before we talk about that, we should talk about why. Why are we doing what we're doing? What are we doing?
Okay, well, let's start with what are we doing?
Well, we are doing a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And investigating these stories in the South about hauntings and weird happenings. And in some cases going to them, in other cases doing just armchair research. Going to them when we can, or when there's very little to be found. And why is there wasn't
Because we're fucking curious.
Because we're curious. Well, not only that, but it was hard to find information about some of these places, and other podcasts do. There are other podcasts that focus on the paranormal, of course. There are other podcasts that focus on the South, but it felt like they were focusing on large locations, like Waverly Hills and the big locations in New Orleans, different things like that, which there's nothing wrong with that. We will be covering that too. But they were very specific to just ghosts. Or just spooky stories, maybe throw in a few cryptids in there, and that'd be about it. It was hard to find ones that were talking about UFOs and ghosts and cryptids and southern superstitions and folklore. And we feel like that's all tied together, like that's all connected. And the more you look at certain areas that have a high number of ghost stories, you start seeing a high number of UFO sightings, Bigfoot sightings, things like that. And we really wanted to dive into that and see about maybe we can figure out why that place is so weird.
So, what prompted us to do the live stream?
I didn't know if you wanted to say why you were doing this or not.
Because they can't kill me to keep me silent, I guess.
You're so freaking... Okay, that was not what I meant about the podcast. Goober. This is why he doesn't talk on the podcast. Damon's my tech guy. He helps set up the OBS for streaming and stuff like that. We decided to do a live stream today to talk about a story we recently investigated and are still investigating. I say we recently investigated like we're done. We're not done. I don't know if anybody's ever done with a story, though.
Not really.
You kind of have to decide for yourself when you feel like you've done enough for yourself, because it's unending. We recently investigated a urban legend, a local haunting that's only like an hour from us. And it's called the Pine Haven Bullied Boy, or The Haunting of the Pine Haven School. If you look up Tennessee hauntings and superstitions and urban legends and cryptids and things like that, this story will pop up for you at some point. It's on several websites. It's actually named, I think it was like top 5 or top 3 creepiest stories in Tennessee. And I immediately latched onto it because of that. It's like, oh, well, 1, it's one of the top stories, and 2, it's only an hour away. 3, there wasn't much on it.
No, everybody was just saying the same thing.
Yeah, regurgitating the story. So we're like, well, is there any more to it than that? So we decided to take this on as our next project. You know, I had a number of stories planned for the podcast, but this one really, I was vaguely obsessed with it for a while. I don't know if it's because I'm a mom or what. You know, I have a little boy, and this story about the death of a little boy at a school that then haunts the school just really, I couldn't let it go. So, I have a camera and everybody just sees the floor. But it bugged me. I couldn't let it go. And then I started researching. There wasn't much online. I looked up the urban legend. I found as far back as I could go with that, and it seemed like the earliest sharing of it online that was public was in 2011. And that seemed to be the story that everybody regurgitated. Everybody was just repeating what this person said in a forum, I think it was, or a post, not a forum, what's that called? Like a public message board. And everybody kind of latched on to what this person said and was just sharing it. It was on that. It was on a radio show. It was on all kinds of stuff, but it was the same thing, and maybe with a few opinions on it. But it was really, nobody had gone any deeper with it. So I tried to find information about the school. I was like, if anything, I would like to at least know about the school. You know, is the school still around? Can you still even go to it? And I approached it with the mindset initially of this is likely an urban legend, something that sprang up because creepy abandoned school draws kids and creepy stories. And I don't know, like, if you experienced this when you were growing up, but I experienced it, where you can't be part of our club until you insert hazing practice here.
Sure.
So I could easily see it being, here's this creepy abandoned school, and kids being like, well, you can be part of our club, or we won't harass you anymore, or whatever, if you'll go into a school alone to the bathroom where, you know, this horrible thing happened and now there's a ghost there. So you go face the ghost in the bathroom and you'll be one of the cool kids, you know. I thought that's what it was. I thought that was all there was to it. Like, that's it. You know, I could easily see that being all.
That would have been nice.
Right. Our job would have been a lot easier.
We wouldn't be doing a live stream.
We wouldn't be doing a live stream. But our job would have been a lot easier if that was the end of the story. And I thought it was. I thought that's what I was going into. So really, when I started my investigation, I just wanted to have a few little facts to flavor my podcast episode. When did the school close? Why did the school close? When did it open? And was there ever a death in the school that maybe would have been the seed for this urban legend? Like, maybe somebody did die, and through the grapevine and generation after generation of older kids trying to terrify younger kids, it turned into this. I was so ready for it to be that simple, and it wasn't. So I couldn't find anything online about the school. I found a YouTube video of somebody walking around in it a few years ago. I found the address of the new school. But that's it. That's all I could find online. We couldn't even find the address of the old school. We had to retro figure that out through the YouTube video, through little clues that were everywhere, and then through Google Maps, figure it out. So I called the city office. Now, Jamestown, Tennessee, is where the school is located. It's a relatively small town. It was a coal community, like a lot of the towns around here are. They had big business when coal was big business, and the railroad came through. But then that tapered off. It's rural, it's farms. There is a mine, but that's about it. There's not much there. So I called the city executive office, essentially the city courthouse. And I was like, look, you might not know the answer, but can you direct me to the person that does? And the person I talked to, she's, okay, to give a benefit of the doubt to this one, she sounded exhausted. You just call somebody and you hear they sound like they haven't slept in 3 days. That's how she sounded. She just sounded exhausted. And I was, very fresh in my research, and I was prepared to be, I thought I was prepared. And I said, well, can you at least direct me to maybe somebody who knows, but tell me about the school? And I was very upfront about who I was and what I was doing. I said, I'm a paranormal investigator. I have a podcast, and I'm doing a story about the old school and a ghost story that is an urban legend that is related to it. She had no idea what I was talking about. I don't think she cared, which is fine. And she had no. She's like, I can't help you. I don't know. Okay. She said you can try to. She said, she did say that she believed the school closed because of it just being damaged and old, and that my brain just blanked. She said that the school damaged and old, and that
was it structural?
Yeah, no. She just said it was just old. But no, I was gonna say something else, and I can't remember what I was gonna say. So I should have next. This is why my podcast is very scripted. I'll be transparent. It's scripted for the most part. Every once in a while there'll be a comment that isn't, but yeah. Yeah, she had no idea. So I was like, well, I'll try the county office, because Jamestown is the seat of Fentress County. So I figured, that's what she was going to say, that the city did not own the school any longer. So she had no concept of that, and she was very much like, not our problem. She's like, well, we don't own it. I was like, okay. I figured you at least have records of when you did, but whatever, lady. So I got off the phone with her, and I called the county offices. The county offices were also very much, it's not our problem. I don't have anything for you. Like, they didn't even act like they knew there was a school there, even though the county, it's right there. So it was a younger girl I was talking to at the county office, and I did get out of her a name and number for the historical society in that town. Great. And she said, here's this person's name. I'm not going to give the name, but here's his name, here's his number. And she is not only the head of the historical society, but she used to be on the school board. score. Like this would be the person to talk to, right? Historical, school board, whatever. So I call this person up. She answers, and she's with the Historical Society when she answers. I'm like, well, I'll try not to take much of your time. Thank you so much for answering my call. I introduced myself. I said what I was doing. I said I'm a paranormal investigator with a podcast called Hate and Holler, and I'm investigating an urban legend related to the old Pinehaven School. She was all automatically, as soon as I said that, she was put off. She didn't really want to talk to me, you can tell. And she was like, well, what urban legend? Her tone shifted immediately. At first, she was this very nice, older lady, it sounded like. And then as soon as I said what I was doing, who I was and what I was doing, it was, what urban legend? I was like, shit. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And I explained it, that it's an urban legend around a boy that was supposedly murdered by a peer in the school that now haunts the school. Well, I've never heard of it. Like, she was offended. She was upset. You'd have thought I defamed her mama's cornbread. You'd have thought, like, it was, yeah. And she relayed this information to the people with her, who were also offended. Like, I couldn't hear what they were saying, but the tone that was coming through was not happy. And I was like, well, I just want dates. I just want when the school was built, when it closed, why it closed. That's it. That's all. I was trying to make it less of an issue. I was trying to be very friendly, perky, whatever. And it was, how did she say it?
I don't think we can.
Oh, I don't think we can help you. And got off the phone. I had to but here's my number in case something comes up, And then I got that in there right before she hung up. Offended. She was very not happy with me at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, nothing from the county office, nothing from the city or the town office, and nothing from the Historical Society. I was like, well, who else can I call? I called the new school. I was like, well, maybe if the new school can tell me when they were built, I will at least have an idea of a date when the school had to have been closed because it was a new school. Makes sense.
Logical.
Called them. I got the runaround. I got switched to 4 different people. Nobody could answer my question of when they were built. And I made sure I didn't really tell them who I was. So I was writing a story about the old school. I didn't say paranormal. I didn't say any of that. I didn't lie. But after the Historical Society response, I thought, well, maybe I'll keep it on the down low. They passed me around. Nobody wanted to talk to me. And they were very much, well, we don't know when the school was built.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to know when your school was built.
Right. Well, I don't know about you, but when I went to school, there was a plaque, like a big old plaque in the front of the school that said when it was built.
Maybe we'll go look for it.
I don't know that I'll be going back anytime soon. I'll explain why I'm not going back anytime soon in a bit. But nobody can answer my question. I left my name and number. Not very hopeful that they'll call me back, but you never know. But nobody wanted to talk to me. Now I was like, you know what? I'll call the police station. I will see what their take is on the fact that remember I had seen a video of the school, and the video, it was very vandalized. It was broken glass and graffiti everywhere and all that. So I was like, I'll call the police department on their non-emergency line and ask their thoughts about the vandalism. Had they had any problems with teenagers there? If they'd heard of the urban legend, and maybe that was what's spurring the teenagers and the vandalism, and their take on it, and maybe they could tell me who owns it. Maybe that'll help.
How'd that go for you?
This is absurd. I looked it up, Jamestown Police Department, found out there's a total of 9 officers. Good on them.
Fucking 9.
9. There's 9 of them.
That's so weird.
Their phone number don't work.
Bum, bum, bum.
It doesn't work. It wouldn't even go through. At all. And I looked at several different places online. It was all the same number. So I could not find a working number for their police department. So at this point, I was like, what the hell? So then I called the county. And the county was like, we can't help you because we can't give you the number we have for them because it's a personal number. The cops, you can only reach them by their cell phone, it seems like. What the hell?
I've not seen that happen before.
Yeah, I've never heard of a police department being unreachable. It was crazy. It was crazy. So I was like, so the town office won't help me. The county, the historical society, the school, and the police department, no help at all. At all.
Okay.
By this point, I was exhausted because I've been not like physically exhausted. Obviously, I hadn't done much, but I was just frustrated. So I was like, I'm taking a break because this is shenanigans. This is just not. And at this point, I had nothing. I had nothing other than this story that was circulating online. That's it. That's all I had. I didn't have a location really. I didn't have an address. I didn't even know the school still existed.
Right.
I had I didn't have dates. I didn't have nothing.
One random video.
Yeah, and a random video online. So that's it. That's all I had. So I stepped away. I put what minuscule information I had and questions, and I handed it over to him. And I was like, "Hey, do your computer thing. Do your research, your computer thing, and see if you can find anything for me at all. Like, I'm not asking for the moon here. I'm just asking for when was it built? When did it close? That's it. At this point, I'll just be thrilled to have that." I was like, please just find that.
So through a bit of research, I did find out the current owner, the exact address. What else did I find out? Found out a whole lot about the person that said we couldn't help you, which turns out to be kind of weird.
Yeah, she's got her hands on a lot of things going on with that town. I was joking, and when I said that if I was writing a horror novel, I'd make her the villain.
Yeah.
Just because she's got her, she's not on like an executive board, but she's got her hands in everything, it seems like.
There's somebody in every generation of her family that were lawyers.
But anyway, this is not about her.
Anyway, so we found the address.
We found the address. That was crafty how you did that, I thought.
Oh, yeah, I had to go through old records, coordinates to find that. That's how I got that one.
Well, it wasn't even that, too. It was that video. So thank you to the person who put the video on YouTube. Because in the video, there was a clue. It had a little sign saying, Jamestown Community Center is not liable if you get hurt, essentially. And so, community center. So then we looked it up. Turns out it's no longer the community center, but knowing that it once was helped us find the GPS coordinates, which helped us find the address and who owns it.
So then what?
So then we decided,
let's go have a look.
Okay, so let me again express that I thought this was going to be simple. It's a thing. It's just an urban legend. I'll just find some information. It's just a quick trip up the road. It's an hour away. I just want to get a couple of pictures for our Patreon. By the way, if you are one of our patrons, you get to see all the behind-the-scenes pictures and fun stuff like that. But, so I was like, well, I just want to get some pics of the outside. I'm not going in, since I can't get a hold of people around that. And I didn't have childcare. I'm not about to take my child into an abandoned building. He's not old enough for that. But, I was like, we'll just go and look at the outside. I just want to get a feel, for the podcast, because it's kind of storytelling. I was like, I just want to get a feel for the town, a feel for the school. Do I feel like it's haunted? And get a couple pictures. That's it. That's all I wanted. So we backed up and go. We like day trip, real quick.
Yeah, it's only like an hour away.
And I was like, oh, and there's a mine up there. One of my other episodes is going to be on Tommy knockers. So we will go up there. We'll get a couple pictures of the school for the Bullied boy urban legend, and a couple pictures of the mine. And we'll do, it'll be great. It'll be easy, just a quick drive. The mine is literally 10 minutes down the road from the school. Easy peasy. It'll be great.
Super easy.
Easy. So, we get up there. And getting up there
Was easy.
It was. It was very easy to find. Nice drive, very scenic, pastoral, country. It's great.
It was very pretty.
It was very pretty. We live in a small town. We live rural. We enjoy that. But, yeah. So we get there, and he parks in the parking lot, and there are no visible no trespassing signs. Let me just clarify that now. We pull into the front of the school. Here's the school, and here's the parking lot, and then here's the main road. And from this perspective, there are no signs that say no trespassing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'm not going in. Just pull into the parking lot. I'll get out. I'll take a few pictures of the front of the school, and maybe see if I can get pictures through the window. And I did get some pictures.
Yeah.
You can see the pictures on the Patreon. That it's free to see those. All of the articles on this story are free. And I'll explain why in a bit. But they're free. They're going to be free.
I'm going to see if we can pull that up.
What? Oh, yeah. Here's the front of the school. There you go. That is the front. Don't. That is the front of the Pine Haven School. It's just in my downloads. If you scroll around, you'll find all kinds of memes and all that stuff. And I don't have permission to share a bunch of stuff, so just leave it. This is Pine Haven School. This is what it looked like when I showed up. It's fine. To be honest, I didn't get any bad vibes off the school.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get any creepy feelings. It didn't do anything for me, really, for that. And we've been a bunch of creepy places.
Which I guess the lack of creepiness could be kind of creepy.
Well, I mean, it's creepy in an abandoned building sort of way, but I didn't get any spooky vibes. Yeah. I stuck my head in the window to look around, get some pictures inside, and it smells like rot, but there's broken glass everywhere. The roof is open in one spot, it looks like, and there's vandalism everywhere. But the vandalism isn't even creepy. Like, there's a few places where it's obviously some kids attempting to be creepy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a, that way, if you're going to be ridiculous. He's going through my pictures. The inside, like, there's even like a doll that's got the eye gouged out. You can share that.
You want to.
Okay. just here's the inside. Pay your taxes. Don't look back my ass. Things like that. It's not all that scary. It's just a vandalized school that's been abandoned for a decade. So I didn't think too much of it. I was like, okay, whatever. If you'll go back over one more, I think. So that's the inside of part of it. I actually had to step up on the porch for this, so that was a little scary. The scariest part was me stepping on this step that may or may not was gonna hold my weight.
It did sound pretty redonkulous.
So yeah. You can see where they tried to be creepy with the save me and turn away and help.
Happened here.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Cute teenage stuff, not really cute, but it's not scary. And it didn't feel scary. Now I didn't go in. I went inside. It wasn't nighttime. So take that. I'm not saying it's not haunted. I'm saying it just didn't feel like it. If you go over one more. Oh, there's the doll that they tried to make look creepy.
They did, and in the video, that doll was there too. So
it was on the ledge. So, go ahead. Alright, so then we decide to go to the side of the school. So this is just off to the right. Again, big parking lot.
Yeah, this is the elementary school.
Yeah. This is the elementary school that we went to. Edgelord kids, yes. Hi, Coffee. Thank you for coming in and chatting with us. So, this is off to the right. And I thought this was actually really pretty. I really liked this part.
If I would have gone to a school that was set up like this, then this would have been awesome.
Oh, right,
it's
yeah.
Just a big U shape, and you got this open courtyard here.
Yeah, that would have been really nice. Put some tables out there.
Yeah.
That would have been really nice. But I thought this was pretty. I have a thing for abandoned buildings anyway. So when I was a teenager and super cool goth kid, I actually took photography classes with my high school, and I went to abandoned buildings and old buildings and took pictures of. That's what I loved to take photos on. So this was my jam. I love this. You can go back to us now. I think that's it. So that's when Damon started really noticing something.
Yeah. So I was sitting there. She was taking pictures since we had kiddo with us, and kept noticing the same couple of cars just essentially circling around.
Now, to be fair, it's a highly vandalized school. Okay, we're going to have to quit what you're doing. That's great. Stop. The light's changing as you're going through pictures, and it's glaring off my glasses anyway. To be fair, it's a highly vandalized school. So, at first I was like, well, they're probably making sure we don't add to the vandalism.
Sure, but, it's the middle of the day.
So. Middle of the day. We're grown-ass people. But there were 3 cars that kept coming by and driving very slowly and, craning their neck watching us, trying to see what we're doing. So Damon's gets a bad vibe.
Yeah.
And I trust his intuition. This guy has gotten us out of a lot of weird, creepy, bad situations in the past. So he gets a bad vibe.
As in somebody's getting ready to show up, we need to go now.
In a bad way. Again, we're not really doing anything wrong, taking some pictures. So I was like, it's fine. I got what I needed. I got the pictures I needed for the Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, let's go to the mine. We're cool. I got what we needed. We'll go on to the mine. So we load back up in the car. Or I load back up in the car. You're still in the car. And we head down the road. Now, again, I said that we looked at the map, and I showed him the map before we left. Here's the school. 10 minutes down the road is the mine. And it's in our, he puts it in our GPS, and it's going to take us that 10 minutes down the road. So we pull out, and coming the opposite way is a cop car. Driving very slow, looking right dead at us, and radioing as he's looking at us. And I was like, well, you know what? If he pulls us over, I'll just ask why the hell his phone number don't work.
Which is fair. I mean, that's a fair question.
So, again, they're probably just making sure we're not vandalizing, whatever. So we start heading that towards the mine. Two very strange things is noticed almost immediately. One, our GPS recalibrates. Now, this does happen if something, there's traffic accident, road change, whatever. So
this is a 1.5 lane road. It shouldn't recalibrate it.
But it did. It recalibrated.
Yeah.
Two, we're being followed. Not by the cop car, by the people that kept circling around. They were following us. Okay. So then we drive, and again, it's almost a 1-lane road. It's a very tight road. Rural trees on both sides, or ravines. Like, it's country.
Yeah.
We also lose signal. We had no cell phone signal. And what should have been a 10-minute drive keeps going and going.
Until it comes across this little rickety bridge that it wants us to go across.
Yeah, it wants us to go across this rickety
Which
bridge.
Goes onto an old logging road.
So we're like, no, we're not doing that. And it was like the opposite direction of the original road that was supposed to take us to the mine. So it was supposed to go down the road from the school, turn to the left, and up to the mine, which is on top of the mountain. And it was to go right onto this bridge. And we're like, no, we'll keep going this way. It takes us all the way around the mountain, but never up to it. And we never see really any turnoff that doesn't look like a driveway. Which the road up to the mountain, or to the mine, could look like a driveway. It's an old mountain. I don't even think it's still in use. Or not mine. Old mine, I don't think it's still in use. But we weren't getting any directions from our GPS. It can't recalibrate at this point because we don't have any signal. And we're being followed.
Yeah.
And at this point, I start getting bad vibes. And I'm like, don't stop. Don't you dare stop this car. I don't care if you see a kid in the road. Don't hit the kid. But don't stop. There are too many horror movies about this situation right here. We were unnerved. So finally, we realized we're just being taken in big circles. We finally get to a main road. The people that are following us pull off. And we decide, let's just go. Screw the mine. There's other mines. We live in Tennessee. There's plenty of mines. Let's just go home. We put our home address in the GPS. We finally get signal. And it recalibrates. It shows us the way home. It shows like we're going to go home. And then just as he's starting to pull out, it recalibrates to take us back to Jamestown. At this point, hell no. Like, no, this is not okay. This is some horror movie nonsense. He's like, I'll just follow landmarks. I think it's this way. I'll just follow. And we do see the landmarks. We know where we're going. We get out. Then, cherry on top, we get to the town line. And it's like a bridge.
No, that was before the bridge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Up ahead's this bridge, town line. And coming towards us on this 2-lane road is a big red pickup truck. Not really notable, but okay. Until he veers over into our lane coming right towards us. He hits the brakes. I've never been so thankful I've had a seatbelt in my life because I just get thrown forward. And this truck, it went too far from us when it veers back over to his lane. Like, he was playing chicken with us, and we stopped. We were so shocked by it. veers back over, smiles at Damon and waves. Goes on, he has a Fentress County fucking license plate. He's local. And we head out. Like, no stopping till we get home.
Yeah.
And like any of this strangeness that occurred when we were there, we could have brushed off.
But that was too many synchronicities at once.
That was a lot. That was a lot of being watched, being followed, GPS acting wild. Like, why would it take us back to Jamestown when we already confirmed the directions home?
We could even had it on the map. That's where we was going.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really weird.
And then to almost be hit by this person at the town line. Like, we were literally about to pass over the town line when this guy decides to do this. I can't help but feel like he was waiting on us.
Plausible.
So all of that strangeness on top of the fact nobody would talk to me. Nobody would answer my questions. And these are basic questions, again, but nobody will talk to me. It was just weird. So we get home. My mother-in-law is very much, don't talk about this story. Do not do this episode. Don't go back. Because I think she thinks it's like a government thing.
Maybe, yeah.
So, yeah. At that point, we were like, well, we'll just do the Bullied boy ghost story for the podcast.
So before we go further, I want to see if they've got any opinions about it. Since we're
Like, what do you... Okay. Those of you who are in chat, do you think that we are, we just scared ourselves? Or do you think that there is something weird about the fact that we experienced that in this small town in Tennessee? Like, and it's okay. Like, I'm not going to debate you. So feel free to post your thoughts. But I'm going to go on because otherwise we'll just be sitting here staring at it.
crickets.
Cricket. They don't have a soundboard. So we get home and we decide, well, we'll just tell the ghost story. He said, his interest was piqued. I think you were more determined than ever to figure out what was going on.
Well, yeah, I mean, aside from the location and the owner, I couldn't find out shit about it. So I was curious about it all then.
Okay, so he says the guy playing chicken is the only odd thing to him. So yeah, like it was just weird. A lot of coincidences, a lot of weirdness that made us uncomfortable. We were a little unnerved. He was more determined than ever to figure out what was going on. So, at this time, I had shared the Pine Haven urban legend. Not all the weirdness going on, just the urban legend and the school in local paranormal groups. So, Tennessee Hauntings, Tennessee Paranormal, stuff like that. Just asking if anybody had already been there and investigated, because if they had, I was hoping to share information and maybe get their opinion on, is this place haunted? Nobody really got back to me. It doesn't seem like anybody's investigated this place. Now, if you have, if anybody's watching this on YouTube or whatever when we share it later, hit me up because I'm still researching. All of my cases are ongoing, so I'm always up for new information. So, I randomly got a message. This is about 3 days after we've been to Jamestown. So, it's been a few days. I've had my paranoid episode of, being nervous. And we're not coming up with any really new information. This woman reaches out to me on Facebook and says that not only did she live in Jamestown, her daddy went to the old Pine Haven school that we were investigating, and her grandmother ran the diner in town. And she was super excited to talk with me. Kudos! Yay! This is awesome. This is exactly what I needed. It came right before I was about to premiere the episode, so I did postpone the episode and I put up the one on Tommyknockers instead, because I already had it prepped. I was like, yeah, talk to me. That's when things got really weird. Two things off the bat was her daddy said, the story about the boy is true. It's not an urban legend. It's not fake. Two is that it's not the worst or weirdest thing about Jamestown. So before we go on, I want to recap exactly what this urban legend is. And she gives me a different telling of the urban legend that's going around. Now, every time I find this story, this ghost story, online, it's all the same story that's regurgitating what was posted in 2011 on a message board. The one she tells me, very similar, but worse. In my opinion, it's worse. The story is of this boy, Geeky. She said that his name might have been Billy, but that might be a guess because it's called the Bullied boy, so the Billy boy. That might be why. His bully cornered him alone in the bathroom and shoved him, and he hit. Now, some say he hit the mirror and the glass cut him, but her story was that he hit the sink and was knocked out. And the bully thought he had killed him. And rather than fess up to what he had done and face consequences and get help, he pulled up the loose flooring from around the sink in the bathroom and shoved the boy's body in it, covered it up, and left. And that later, after the school closed, the boy regained consciousness, but was so weak from one, being attacked, and two, he's in this cramped space, he couldn't push his way back out. And it was a week before they found him. And he died. Because you can only live, if you're a healthy adult, you can live 3 days without water, sometimes 4 days, depending. That this was an injured young boy. So, he starved to death, may have suffocated to death because of the cramped spacing and the concussion. Horrible story. And she says it's real. That her father knew about it when he went to that school, and he truly believes it was a real story. But number two, that was not the worst of the stories in Jamestown, which was just mind-boggling. Like, what could be worse than a child murdered and stuffed under a floorboard and dying slowly without help?
Right.
Like, what could be worse than that? So, I want to note that she started out super enthusiastic to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then tells me that she was telling me that she wanted to get me to interview her daddy about the town. And I was like, yeah, wait, let's do it. And then she says that her daddy would prefer to stay anonymous because he doesn't want to be the person who kind of outs the town. I said, that's fine. And I wasn't even planning on even using the interview in the podcast. I was planning on using the interview to get information. So I was like, that's fine. It's fine. I'm still excited. And then she wants to be anonymous. And then he doesn't want to do the interview. He'll just tell his daughter the stories to relay back to me. It's like she lost her confidence in talking to me and got scared.
Yeah.
Is the vibe I got from it. What I did get from her, I was like, well, just tell me what kinds of stories. Like, why would you say that was not the worst of it? Like, what could be worse? And she said that a lot of these stories that she heard from her daddy and her grandmother, that her grandmother at first would never talk about the town. At least not in that way. Until not that long ago, she started telling the stories about the town. Creepy stories, things that just didn't make any sense or were horrible, and then got diagnosed with dementia out of the blue. Like, nobody expected that she had it. And 2 months later, after being diagnosed, died. And that the daughter always thought that was so strange with the timing, that she just started talking about the weird, awful things going on in this town, and then a few months later dies. Without any expectation at all. Like, nobody expected her to die like that. And then her daddy was saying some of the stories. And they're weird. So, like, one is about one of the founding fathers. Apparently, there is a cemetery very close to the school that is old graves. She said that the most recent grave in that cemetery is from, like, the 1886, 1887 time period. These are, like, historical graves. It's on private property, but, of course, as Damon explained to me, all cemeteries you should be able to have access to.
I'm not a lawyer.
He's not a lawyer. We're not. But you should have access to it. But that he's the founding father of the town, and he murdered his whole family, including his young children. He's buried in that cemetery, and that on the day of his death, which I got was either the same day as he murdered his family. I don't know if it was like a murder-suicide or what. Like I said, I'm not getting all the stories because she stopped talking to me. But anyway, that on that anniversary, snakes come up out of his grave. Interesting. Don't know
Okay.
my beliefs on that, but okay. And then that her father knew that and had, I don't know if she said he had witnessed or had seen the aftermath of a child sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, somebody had murdered children in his lifetime, and he's not that old. And that there was a high number of possessions in this town. Now, demonic possessions, not ownership of items, but that this town had an unusually high number of people becoming possessed, of murders, of missing people, the whole shebang. And I was like, what? I was like, this is not what I signed up for. I signed up for ghost stories. Ghost stories, cryptids, give me Bigfoot, give me ghosts. I don't want anything to do with true crime and human monsters. That's not what I was here for. I was very taken back. And a little upset. I'm not even gonna lie. I was a little upset. I was very much like, this is not what I signed up for. I did get some dates from her so I could investigate. We do know that the school had to have closed by 1997 because that's when the old community center was open. Now the new community center is different. It's a different building. And I got some dates of if there was a murder of a boy in the school, it had to have happened before that, when her daddy was in school. So I did get the day that her daddy started school there, so that way I can at least look at the dates. You had me at possession. Right? It was wild. It's such a wild story. So, but again, at this point, because of the way that the town's acting, and she also kind of confirmed some issues that we were having with getting information. She knew the historian, the historical society lady that I talked to. She knew her. In fact, had issues with her in the past. And was like, yeah, no, she runs the town. And I was like, that's what I suspected. That's what I suspected. It's like, yeah, I think this lady is probably the behind the scenes person.
The puppeteer.
Yeah. And that she's very strict, conservative lady, who used to live near her grandmother. I was like, oh, okay. And she said, yeah, she said that she'd be really surprised if anybody talks to us about what's going on. That don't go to the town after dark. Oh, and another story she told me was about the caves and the mines. She said a lot of creepy things happen in those caves and mines. A lot of creepy things come out of those caves and mines, and that there's a lot of witchcraft and cult practices there, and that there is a ghost or a real witch who's just old, who lives up in those caves and will kill children, is what she was told growing up. And now I don't know, that's a throwback to the Bell Witch Caves, which is over in Adams, which is not that far, or what?
But for real, if there's a old witch with a walker splunking through the caves, I gotta meet her. I gotta.
It's a different kind of story, okay? Why she gotta have a walker?
I mean, why
She
not?
could be able-bodied. Your grandmother was 86 and the most able-bodied person I've ever met.
Well, that's true.
But yeah, so that was another thing that was like wild sounding. You know, I didn't even know how to understand this. I'm in love with this town
It
now.
gets better. I've got some tie-ins for some other stuff going on.
Oh, I start looking at the town from this perspective. Turns out it is a sundown town. Those of you who don't know what a sundown town is, it's, well, no, I'll say it. It's a town full of racists who are essentially telling people of color and black folks not to be here after the sun goes down, that they will kill them. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's horrible, but there are sadly still towns like that. And apparently this is one. And a number of missing persons from that area are black, which is awful. And the weird thing about that is I couldn't find any obituaries in their newspaper. The newspapers have a section for obituaries, and we passed the funeral parlor when we went in, and it was hopping. It had a
That
bunch
was
of
the
people
busiest
there.
place in that town.
Right, there was like no, there was nothing going on in that town, but the funeral home had a bunch of people.
Everybody's just dying to get to.
So, yeah, I couldn't find any obituaries at all because I was like, well, maybe I'll find an obituary about a boy. You know, I don't know. Couldn't find any obituaries. He found the obituaries through Chattanooga, which is how many hours away?
It's like 2 hours.
But yeah, I mean, it's still a ways away. Like, why Chattanooga?
I had to get to the obits in a very, very roundabout way.
Yeah. The obits were hard to find, and it was through Chattanooga. The missing persons. Most of the missing persons in there are in their 20s. There's lots of black folks in them. There was one missing person that was a child, and that was it. But most of them are in their 20s, like 24, 26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them had been, they were, I guess, first reported through Chattanooga and then redirected. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I think that's all we really should say without risking issues. So, that's our private investigation right now. The rest of it was just weird. So, at this point, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to continue investigating. I was like, we signed up for ghost stories. We signed up for urban legends, cryptids, that sort of thing. Not true crime to solve a cult mystery. You know, the last thing I want is to get my ass, like, chased through the woods. I don't run. You know? So, I wasn't even sure really how far we wanted to go with this. I was, ghost story's fine, but I don't know if I want to deal with Country Murder Town. The lead that I got from this woman, she just stopped talking to me. Wouldn't really respond to me further. I think she got scared. Like, the vibe I got from her is that she initially was super excited, probably started talking to her daddy, and got scared. And decided not to talk to me anymore. Though, if she truly believes everything that she did tell me, I don't blame her. So, took a break. I recorded the Pinehaven Bullied Boy podcast, focusing on the school, focusing on the urban legend about the boy, and whether, if it's true or not, I don't know. And that's recorded and scheduled, and it's going to go live tomorrow morning. He was continuing to do research on the people of Jamestown. Just stuff that you can find just through a Google search. Nothing illegal or anything, but just curious, like, why are these people so weird? And that will play into the connections between Jamestown, Rugby, and Oneida. And the fact that I was already researching another town north of Rugby in the, what's that part called?
Depends on where you're at. It's the Big South Fork,
Big
or
South
Daniel
Fork.
Boone National Forest.
Or Daniel Boone National Forest. There's a town just up by the border called No Business. And it's got like a weird history to it too. I've not found anything paranormal about it. It's just weird. So we'll see if it shows up in the podcast. It's directly north of Rugby. So we just were gathering this information, and we kind of jointly decided to keep this story on the back burner. It's weird. We're unnerved and a little paranoid about it. But if anything comes up, we'll store it away, and if there's a breakthrough or whatever, then that. But I did tell him I'm not going back to Jamestown without a crew. It will not be the both of us, or just the both of us. And we definitely will be having our kid in the car with us. If we go back, I definitely want at least a few more other people with us, just in case shit is worse than we thought. Because apparently my thinking that it's simple and a quick trip is not the case. I think what creeped me out the most was until, like, a few days later. I'm researching a different story dealing with Kentucky, and I share this on Twitter, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, have you seen Hellier?" I said, "No, what's Hellier?" I'd heard of it because another friend had been watching it when it first came out, but that had been a couple years ago. I was like, "No, I've not seen it." Like, if you want weird in Kentucky, you have to watch Hellier. Okay. I looked into it when they told me. I said, well, I'm not really into UFOs. Aliens are not my. They're his thing, but they're not my thing. Not my thing. So I finally decided to watch it. I was like, well, I need a break. The Jamestown thing stressed me out. Let's watch something kind of creepy, but unrelated, right? I binged it in 2 days. I binged both seasons, all 15 episodes in 2 days. Not healthy. Don't recommend it. And if any of you have seen Hellier, anybody in the chat or anybody watching the recording have seen Hellier, you might be knowing where I'm going with this. So, Hellier is about a group of paranormal investigators that are turned on to this place in Kentucky. It's a rural town in Kentucky called Hellier. And when the whole crew, not just the couple, but the whole crew go there, they suddenly aren't getting any help. Nobody answers their questions. Nobody knows what they're talking about. The police will not answer their phone calls. Nothing. And these are pros. These are not like us. We're very new. Greg and Dana Newkirk have been in the game for a while. I, in fact, watching that, realized I had been looking at Greg's old Ghost Hunters Incorporated website when I was younger.
That's funny.
And I was thinking, man, that would be so cool to do, but I was young and there was no way my parents were going to let me go investigate stuff as a teenager. It just wasn't going to happen. So that was kind of cool, kind of full circle, come around back to that. That was fun.
So, crash course spoiler for Hellier. Creepy caves and mines. Stuff coming in and out.
Mm-hmm.
People disappearing.
Cults.
Cults. And there's one more. What is it?
I don't know what you're getting
I'll come back to it.
Okay, I don't know what he's getting at.
Anyways, same essential national forest.
Okay, so that was something in season 2 of Hellier. Spoiler alert, if you have not seen Hellier and you don't want spoilers, la la la. This is not the time. Season 2 of Hellier deals with Somerset, Kentucky, which is a little over an hour away from Jamestown, Tennessee. When I was told to watch Hellier, was investigating a place in Corbin, Kentucky, which is just on the other side of Daniel Boone Forest, National Park Forest, from Somerset. Jamestown, Rugby, and Oneida, the 3 towns we were investigating for this very strange situation of possible cult activity, is at the bottom of that forest. It almost like it cups it. Here's the forest, here's Jamestown, here's Rugby, and here's Oneida, and it just cups it. And that forest goes up over the border, and then Somerset and Corbin. So it's like, if weirdness were a river, it would be washing down into Jamestown and pooling there.
It was potential child sacrifice.
Oh,
in both places.
Potential child sacrifice in both places. Weird thing is, I was born in Somerset. Like, this is like having high strangeness in my backyard. Hellier unnerved me. Hellier was close to home. It not only was close to home, literally, in that, it wasn't very far from where we live. It wasn't very far from where I was born. It was right where I was born in season 2. But it's also not, it became very close to home in what I was investigating and theories that we were already developing, but not really talking about how I don't think that ghosts UFOs, cryptids, cults, all that stuff, I don't think it's unrelated. I think it's all connected. I think that if the communities that investigate these different things would just come together and talk about it, we'd realize exactly how interconnected we are. The really weird thing that we saw in Hellier was that mines, the caves, the Mammoth Cave system, and this huge bed of quartz lays right over where we are living and investigating.
Yep, the Mammoth Cave system goes right down through Jamestown.
And we have caves on our property. It's just weird. It's just weird for it all to kind of add up in the same week. Well, thereabout. We investigate this place. I get a lead that then drops off, and then I'm told to watch this by somebody who has no idea really what I'm investigating, had no idea where I was born, had no idea of how close to home this would hit me. So, what I thought was very interesting was, if you watch the documentary, there's a guy in it named Connor who, when faced with the fact that they could be facing cults and killers and child sacrifice and all this horrible stuff, turns around and like, let's just go. Let's just drop it and go. This is not what I signed up. I signed up for a creepy story of cryptids and ghosts. I didn't sign up for this, not human monsters. And I was like, didn't I just say that? Is that almost not word for word what I said about investigating Jamestown? I was like, let's just not. Let's just drop it, because this is not what I said. I'm signing up for ghosts. I'm signing up for creepiness, not murder and child torture. This is not where I parked my car. So that resonated. So why are we being so open about this and sharing it on our anniversary, no less? This is our 11-year wedding anniversary, by the way. So why are we doing this?
Because you can't silence what's already out.
I joked with Dana when everything happened in Jamestown and we had just left. I joked with him a little bit about the pictures and about the information that we had found, especially in his computer digging. And I said, I don't know if I want to just keep this between us, because his mom was like, drop it. Don't show or tell anybody, because you don't want their attention on you. I'm like, well, I think we already have their attention,
It's a little late.
A little late. So I was like, well, I don't want to be the horror movie trope of they're going to kill us to silence us so that information doesn't get out there. I said, I don't, saying it makes me sound crazy.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
It makes me sound like that crazy conspiracy theorist person that they're out to get me. I'm not saying for sure that that's the case. I'm not saying I fully believe it, but
on the off chance that they are, it's too fucking late.
Yeah, it's out there. So all of my Jamestown, Tennessee posts, all of my Pine Haven School posts on Patreon are now free. They are also on linked to and kind of talked about on the blog, hateandholler.com, which you can click below and get to. So all that information's on there. It's free. You can look at it right now and kind of make your own decisions about what we've found and what we are dealing with. Just in case,
Mm-hmm.
Just in case. I scared myself on this case, so I was like, well, if we're going to keep looking, I want to be transparent about it, because there's a little bit of like security in what we do. If someone were to, I don't want to be that secretive person who then, if they disappear, well, she was always very private and secretive. Maybe she took off to investigate something and she wouldn't have told anybody anyway. No, I'm loud. I'm loud. We tell everybody before we go somewhere that we're going somewhere, where we're going, and what we're doing, and when you can expect us back. He used to be search and rescue on a mountain. Like, we know how to go somewhere safely. And that's kind of what we're doing. This is our check-in.
Back to the person that was telling you the stories, like in Hellier, they had the same issue where people would start talking to them and then stop and disappear.
Yeah, where you get like a lead and then hit a brick wall. And then you get. But I don't know if that was a Hellier thing or if that's all paranormal investigation.
Maybe.
That just a lot of the big shows that you watch and whatnot don't share is that you're going to hit a lot of brick walls.
It's possible.
The story is never really over. You have to decide for yourself when it's over. Things like that. Jamestown's not over for us, but it's not going to be my main focus because I could drive myself crazy on it. And so it's back burner. If I run across any information, I'll put it in our file and I'll keep going. So that's where we are. So what?
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, feel free to share.
This is pretty weird.
And those of you who are watching the recording, feel free to comment. And we're not here to convince anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me one way or the other if you believe or not. So.
Right. That was something that I never really thought I could be a paranormal investigator because I was under the impression from watching shows that there were only two kinds of paranormal investigators. The kind that was trying to prove that ghosts exist, and the kind that was trying to help these people who had demons in their houses. And neither of those things appealed to me. One, I don't care if people believe. I'm not evangelical about the fact that I believe. I believe. If you don't believe, cool. I don't care. That's not. I don't care. As for helping people, we have done that. We have done that in the past. We have had people come to us as people who are interested in the paranormal, who have research interests in the paranormal, and as people who are practicing in the realm of the occult. We've had people approach us and be like, hey, we need help. I'm being attacked in my home. I have a ghost in my home. My child's being attacked, and we have, with mixed results. We have helped some people who had attachments, and that was fine. And then we also found a lot of people who just wanted the attention of it. It made them special. So they didn't really want our help. They wanted us to play into this drama they had created around a haunting or an attack or whatever. In fact, in one situation, she asked us to come clear her house because her and her grandchild were being attacked. So we looked into it, and we did a divination reading about the situations. We don't ever go in anywhere without doing a divination reading of whether or not we should. Would it be okay for us? And is this something paranormal, or is this something psychological or purely physical plane that could be explained through some aid of maybe some housework? Fix your electrical system, fix your, whatever. So we looked into it. And the reading said that, yeah, sure, something's going on, but it's partly of her making and her doing, and that it's not going to go away until she wants it to. And it kind of relayed that, and it pissed her off. It was kind of a bad fight. Some words were said, and oh well. how many months later before she had a national TV show at her house?
No, it wasn't long. It was less than a year.
Yeah, it was a few months later, I think. Yeah, she had one of like the big ghost hunting shows at her house. And a lot of the reading came true. It's like she was just looking for attention. It wasn't. Yeah, sure.
I don't even think they actually aired that because
They
of it.
didn't air it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just. I think they were in Alaska because it's when we lived in Alaska. They were in Alaska for some other show, and they had, they were asking around. And,
yeah, fun stuff.
So anyway, I didn't want to be either of those paranormal investigators. I didn't want to try and prove anything, and helping people can get tricky. A lot of times people don't really want help. They just want to feel special for having a haunting. It is what it is. Then I started talking to and researching and getting to know people who are in the paranormal field and realizing that is not the only type of investigator there is. There are experiential investigators, people who just want the experience of it. And then there's also historians and folklore investigators. Me. I love history. I love folklore. What kind of got me down this path was actually genealogy. And the fact that when I was going to college, I was studying to be a historian and had a big interest in like local folklore and history, especially the weird kind. I love all the weird stuff. So when I found out like that's a legitimate field of paranormal investigation, I was on board. I was like, yeah, that's what I want. I want to do the stories. I'm here for the history and the folklore and tying into current phenomenon to historical phenomenon of that location.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're doing. Jamestown's on our back burner. I don't know if it's ever going to let us go as far as that. I feel like we have our claws into that story as much as it's got its claws into us.
Mm-hmm.
From here, I have planned through the beginning of November a few different stories. A couple in Kentucky. I want to cover at least the basics of what the hell is going on in Hellier, including some tie-ins to the Hopkinsville, Kentucky Goblins case. I'm also talking about...
Still doing skin time?
Yeah. Devil's Creek in Kentucky, and then I'm bringing it back down into Tennessee with some really spooky stuff, including Skin Tom. He's one of the top 2 creepiest stories in Tennessee, and that's how I'll be wrapping up October is with his story for Halloween. And then after the beginning of November, I'll be taking a short break to celebrate the holidays and to build up a stack of stories for you all starting in the new year, including some interviews I have planned. So, will we be investigating in person?
Situational.
We have plans. Damon is doing some work on some gear for us, some investigative spirit box, EVP type stuff, as well as camera, full spectrum camera stuff, and a few other things. So he's working on some fun stuff for that.
Providing I don't electrocute myself.
Providing he doesn't electrocute himself again.
I did burn myself today. That was fun.
Yeah. He gives still so much confidence.
Yeah. Soldering irons are hot. I grabbed it.
So yeah, in-person investigations are on our radar. a lot of it is just scheduling. Like I said, we have a small child. We have a son. So we do have to schedule childcare.
I've got a day job
He's got, well, you know, got a day job.
that I work at night.
He's got a night job.
I've got a night job.
He's got a job, a grown-up job. So yeah, but it is on our radar. We do have a few places we want to get some boots on the ground research for. Because some things you just can't research online. You have to get it on location. So yeah, but yeah, it's all on our radar.
I might try to go to the Little Green Man Festival next year.
But yeah, a lot of that is COVID.
Yeah.
COVID related, though.
True.
If the cards play out and COVID's less of an issue.
Yeah. You want to talk about that? Yeah.
What?
What we was talking about earlier?
What were we talking about earlier?
I don't know. Go
I don't know.
ahead.
But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what we can do. We have some. A lot of that is COVID dependent as far as like places we might be at. But yeah, there's lots of really close by open air places that we can go to though, including.
Jamestown.
No, we're not going to Jamestown. The Bell Witch area. So that's on my bucket list. And I have a lovely, adoring paranormal investigator cousin that might come down and stay with us to go to Bell Witch.
We need a couple things before we go.
Yeah, we're going to get our shit together first. Alright, so feel free to ask questions, commentary on the weirdness, especially if you have any information on anything that we've just talked about. Or if you are in the South and you have a ghost story, haunting, UFO sighting, cryptid sighting, etc., 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 and would like us to look into that, feel free to comment or email us at hateandholler@gmail.com.
So you just hang out and see if anybody says anything for a few minutes.
It doesn't seem like anybody's very talkative, so I think we'll sign off. Feel free to comment or reach out to us. Most of the people in chat are friends, so
There.
it's all good. Thank you all for chatting with us and spending our anniversary evening with us. And thank you all who are watching the recording. Bye.